So openly secular, we're doing YouTube videos. We're getting ordinary people, nice people, your neighbors, your friends, people that you know and like, to do a very short YouTube video saying, I'm a teacher, I'm a fireman, I'm a policeman, I'm a nurse, I'm a farmer, and I'm openly secular. Also celebrities. And celebrities, for some reason I've never understood, but advertising people know, people tend to imitate celebrities. So we're getting celebrities as well. So the Openly Secular campaign is a well-organized, rather sophisticated campaign being professionally run. So look out for that. We're also mindful of the fact that middle school in America is not serving the teaching of evolution well. This is partly because many middle school science teachers are actually not trained in science and are especially reluctant to teach evolution because they get pushback, because they get threats, they get protests from children or from their parents. And they don't feel confident enough of the subject matter to withstand the sort of criticism and attacks that they get. We have a wonderful teacher, actually from Florida, Bertha Vasquez, from Miami, and she is coordinating the TIES campaign. So Bertha is coordinating middle school teachers and helping them, giving them teaching materials, advising them on how to teach evolution, and that is particularly close to my heart, that part of the program. We're also sponsoring, because this is the 90th anniversary of the famous monkey trial in Tennessee, the Scopes trial. Next year is the 90th anniversary. And so we're sponsoring 90 school productions of the play Inherit the Wind. Many of you may have seen the magnificent film of Inherit the Wind with Spencer Tracy. So we're paying for the rights for 90 schools in America to put on this play, which we hope will have educational effect. And we're also trying to get Hollywood to put atheist characters into soap operas and sitcoms and put them in as nice, decent, amusing, friendly characters, not sort of sinister characters. So that's the Richard Dawkins Foundation for Reason and Science, and it has a membership. So thank you very much.
And thank you, Richard. Even though you're not ready to move to the United States.
I move here 2 or 3 times a year.
And become a voting citizen. But we really thank you for the active Richard Dawkins Foundation that you and Robin Blumner, CEO of the foundation, are doing in our nation's capital. And now we'll be taking questions.
Good afternoon, Professor Dawkins. I can't believe I used to think you were evil. But my question is, how much of your secular activism is motivated by the irreparable damage that creationism does in cutting off so many millions of people from experiencing the wonder of nature, from understanding themselves, and so much more?
Yes, a very substantial amount. I regard evolution as not just the truth, but as wonderful, and as poetic, and as enthralling, and exciting. And the fact that we, living in this century as we do, living ever since Darwin, have been in a position to answer a child's question, where do I come from? What's life all about? What's it for? Why is life here? Why is it so diverse? We can answer that. And it's an incredibly exciting field to look at. And I think it's little short of a tragedy that children are being brought up with a silly lie about what this is all about. And so for me, it's a driving passion. And that is, I suppose, my main motivation. I am also, of course, motivated by the bad things that are done in the name of religion. And in this, I have to say, not all religions are as bad as each other, as I said earlier. But I am passionate at the sheer wickedness which is perpetrated in the name of religion by people who don't know they're being wicked. They think they're being righteous. They think they're doing the will of their God because that's what they've been taught in their schools. And what you're taught in early childhood is sometimes rather hard to shake off. So I believe that the 9/11 hijackers, for example, probably thought they were very good people. They probably thought they were doing the righteous thing. And that's what religion can do. As Stephen Weinberg said, you will have good people doing good things and bad people doing bad things. But for good people to do bad things, that takes religion.
Hi, Professor Dawkins. I teach science in an informal facility here in Florida and have done an evolution activity that did get a lot of pushback from the public. But I wanted to ask you if you could kind of summarize one meme you think should be implanted in the minds of children to help them pursue science and be inspired and follow a path of reason. What do you think that would be?
Well, I'm interested to hear that you get pushback. I'm sorry to hear that. But I'm not surprised. I think probably evolution is as good a test case as any, because that's the one where we absolutely know it's true. There's no doubt about it. And the evidence is so overwhelming, and you should be able to present the evidence as overwhelming. There's just such a lot of it. One time when I was here in Florida, I heard a story from a teacher in Miami who said that she had been reported by one of the children in her class to its parents for teaching evolution. The parent went and then complained to the head teacher and forbade this science teacher from teaching the very foundation of her subject, namely evolution. And this teacher, fortunately, was full of initiative. She had been forbidden to teach evolution, so she went to the nearest university and got a professor of biology to come to her class, and he taught evolution.
My understanding of evolution is that as we cast off things that we no longer need as we evolve, that those genes stay with us. They're just turned off by some sort of enzyme or something. Is that true? And if that's the case, would that not be the best argument against creationism and idiotic
It's a very
design?
good argument. It's not necessarily the best, but it is a very powerful argument. It's very true that sometimes genes are simply turned off. For example, we humans don't have a very good sense of smell compared with other mammals, like dogs, rhinoceroses. But the genes for being good at smelling are still there, they're just turned off. So they're called pseudogenes, they're vestigial genes, they're relic genes. It's a bit like when you use your computer and you're doing lots of editing work and writing letters and things, and you think that your hard disk is just a nice tidy thing with this document and that document and that document which you know you're working on. What you don't realize is that the hard disk is littered with defunct, extinct versions of things that you've been working on. They're still there. They're not deleted. All that's happened is that the pointer to them has been removed, so they're no longer accessible to the system. But they are still there. And if you examine the disk at the machine code level, you find all sorts of fragments and relics of past work. And that's sort of what the genome is like. The genome is littered with outdated relics and fragments of old genes. And that is indeed a very powerful argument in favor of evolution.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Professor Dawkins, I was wondering what your thoughts are on why it appears as though humans tend to be drawn to the supernatural and/or religion.
Well, that could be a psychological question. You could be asking, what is it in human psychology that draws people to this? And a psychologist might answer something like, fear of death, or a hangover into adulthood of the imaginary friend phenomenon which so many children have. As an evolutionist, I give a slightly different kind of answer and ask the question, what is it about such psychological predispositions which has been favored by natural selection, predispositions to being religious. And I can imagine not a survival value of being religious per se, but a survival value of certain psychological predispositions which manifest themselves as religion under the right cultural or educational conditions. Things like being subservient to authority. So I could easily imagine that a child brain might be naturally selected to obey authority, to believe your parents when they tell you things, because your parents have the wisdom that you need to survive in a hostile world on the African plains, and you as a child don't. So natural selection could favor a tendency in the child brain to be obedient to parents and to believe parents, and that would automatically make the brain vulnerable if the parents tell the child things that are not good advice, but nonsense, like religion.
Okay, thank you all for participating. Let's thank Richard.